Hey, what's up? This is Zach here at Decipher in Barcelona, Algorand's premier event. Super excited to be here. I'll let you introduce yourself.
Hey everyone, Michael Cotton, CEO of Meld.
Awesome. And how's the event been for you so far?
Great, yeah, really good. It's quite interesting, in a digital space, we communicate so much digitally,
Yeah.
but in person is so different, right? The nuances of conversation, being able to gain additional details about people and build that relationship in a different way, it is actually really meaningful for future collaboration in particular, or for immediate collaboration. So, I found that bit particularly useful, being able to sit, catch up, really talk about different ideas, how we can work together, or even just build that relationship. So when the day comes, there's a different type of connection when you go calling to do something interesting or to build something different. So that side has been fantastic. Plus, so many people who I've worked with for years you've never met in person. I often have to sort of rack my brain. Have I met this person in person, or have we only met digitally? And it's just so nice to sort of spend some time with people and sometimes discover that they look quite different in person than they do digitally too, which is interesting. They're two
Especially with
beautiful.
NFTs.
Yeah, 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 well, yeah, they're completely different.
No, that's super cool. And I love to learn sort of more about your project for those who don't know.
Yeah, certainly. So, Meld Gold, we digitize gold and silver. Like at its core, we digitize physical assets. So, but the focus of the first two assets is gold and silver. It's not necessarily completely revolutionary. We've got several companies, in the world now that digitize gold and silver. Where we're quite different is we help bring the industry on chain. So rather than just digitizing the material, we build the infrastructure to allow the industry to connect to the blockchain, which is quite a different perspective. The main reason that is quite different is two things. It means we end up with more physical distribution of the metal, which is interesting, but also it really removes so much of the middlemen, for lack of a better word, from the supply chain. So, for example, what it might look like in the future when you're buying gold, or Mel Gold token, is you're actually connecting to the best price aggregated across the entire gold industries, and then when you sell the same. So we're really creating efficiency within the market and almost that direct to consumer connecting industry with users. The other really big piece, Zach, is we do an incredible amount of work, and this is where a lot of our IP and a lot of our efforts go into currently about how do we minimize the trust factor of connecting physical with the blockchain. Because what a lot of people sort of don't understand quite so well is a physical asset somewhere is actually very, very difficult to account for on chain
It
in a
is.
trustless way.
It is.
We see things like proof of reserves, but proof of reserves are just taking the digital data point and saying that digital data point is
Still a
true.
human. That's
Exactly. So
a really good point.
we've done a huge amount of work around how do we connect the physical object to the blockchain with the least trust required. So, a lot of people have been doing a bit of snooping. The Algorand community in particular is very good at digging things up, and some of them found some of our patent work. So there'll be a lot coming out from us in the coming time about the work we're doing there. We will never make it completely trustless, and that somewhere and somewhere has it. But what we want to do is make it so the minimal trust possible is required in owning a digital twin of something. And that's where we really think we'll do some magic.
No, I mean I think it's really cool too, and it's kind of bridging the old world and the new world of financing. It's really kind of cool to see. Would you consider this like an RWA project primarily?
Yeah, well, look, RWAs is fairly
I
all-encompassing.
know, yeah. That's
So
why.
it's kind of hard. Like I guess where we really focus is physical products that um, uh, fit within the infrastructure of high value small. So generally the same infrastructure that holds gold and silver would hold things like diamonds and other high value small assets. So, our particular specialty is within assets that fit that kind of category. So certainly RWA, but we are a carve out of the RWA space and a very particular carve out.
And I guess why did you sort of decide to build on Algorand from the like the technical point of view?
Yeah, so digitizing gold and silver is interesting idea. You know, if you're someone who believes in gold and silver, the idea of gold and silver and gold in particular being used as a currency is kind of like a fundamental of loving the asset. And traditionally, it's really what it was. It was, you know, we had the gold standard, and a lot of people aren't aware of this, but like most of the original banknotes, like in Australia where I came from, a lot of the original banknotes are actually promissory notes for gold. So this was just a paper version of gold that was held somewhere that you could go and actually collect. And we really shifted away from that standard. So for most people who love gold, they love the idea of it actually being used as a currency with the idea you can't double spend, there's a limited supply, all those sort of good reasons why we also love Bitcoin, right? So, you know, the idea of digitizing is part one. Why do we digitize? And that's to bring access and utility. What is the value of digitizing gold and giving it the velocity of modern day fiat? It's being able to use it in the same manner, but you know, a better form of currency. And then why Algorand? If you want access and utility, it's very hard to give the world access to buying 50 cents worth of gold or paying for a cup of coffee with gold unless the technology has the same velocity you desire from money in the Web 2 space. So that's where something like Algorand was a necessity. If we want people to be able to go buy a cup of coffee or have their savings in India in gold and they want to save $1 worth a week, it's not going to be possible in a self-custodial manner with anything that doesn't have the capabilities of a technology like Algorand. And so that's really where that first element of, okay, we need something really powerful like Algorand to make this work. A really good example is we originally looked at building on Ethereum. And a real problem for someone like Meld when we actually have the asset and we have to pay for things like storage and insurance, is if you end up with crumbs stuck globally in wallets and it can't be transacted because the gas fees are too high to be bothered moving $10 worth of silver, we then have to store that and secure that and ensure that forever, and it may never be recovered, which is a real problem. So, you know, having velocity, low cost, all of these things were fundamental. And then, you know, philosophically, if we actually want to see blockchain technology become something we use every day and don't even realize it needs to be final. You need to have instant finality. You need to be able to do every kind of transaction possible. So you need to be able to have huge TPS throughput. You need security. You need no downtime. You need all of these factors, which Algorand does so well.
I mean, I agree. Really, it kind of goes to the commercial that they had come out. It really showcases that point. I completely agree. And for gold, I imagine it's sort of a similar situation. You can't be waiting for your gold transaction to come through, whatever you want it very fast and you want it efficient, and it can't cost a lot of money, like you mentioned. So in India, if if like it was on ETH or something, you couldn't save $1 because that would burn
Exactly.
up in gas.
Yeah.
Totally get it. What is on your roadmap for later this year, and is there any alpha that you can announce?
Excellent question. So look, whether it's later this year or more like early next year, you know, it's this trust minimized technology around the digital twins. Like that's the piece that I think we're most excited about because a core fundamental to having the world use gold as a currency again is them being able to trust that the digital version truly represents the physical. So that's probably the piece we think is going to be, you know, particularly interesting and revolutionary. And as a company, our history is the gold industry. So I like to sort of phrase it that we are the industry adopting technology versus technology adopting industry. And because it's that way round, you know, industry is the only one who could solve these kind of friction points and improve on the processes and systems we have now. So that's the thing we're probably most excited about.
I mean, I think it's really exciting as well. Okay, it's kind of a random but fun question. If you could be on a podcast with any person, any guest or project, who would it be and why?
Uh, Anyone who's seen the Lex Friedman interview with Silvio McCarley, like it's got to be one of the truly great blockchain cryptography interviews, I think. And for anyone who's watched it was probably quite transformational in the way you viewed blockchain and technology. So, you know, I'd love to be on the podcast with the two of them. That's probably the dream. So I don't know if I'm allowed to have both, but that would be the dream.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for the great interview. Make sure to follow them on social media. Michael Kahn, thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.